The night is quiet. A soft wind moves across the sands of time. Candles flicker in forgotten temples, and the names of divine women echo like lullabies through the corridors of memory. For 3 hours, we drift into ancient cults and their sacred mothers, daughters, and goddesses. Each chapter unfolds like a dream, revealing the moonlit figures who carried wisdom, power, and healing into the hearts of their people. Let their stories cradle your spirit as the stars above guide you into sleep. If this journey helps you rest, subscribe to keep the stories flowing. Share in the comments where you're listening from tonight. Under the stars, beside a lamp, or resting in silence. The night is quiet. The air is gentle, like a veil of silk resting on the skin of the world. Stars gather above, shimmering in silence as if waiting for a story to unfold. You drift toward the beginning, the earliest whispers of time, where the earth herself was seen as a mother. Close your eyes. Imagine the world before cities, before stone walls, before the noise of men. The earth stretched vast and endless. Forests breathed, rivers glided softly. The soil was warm, dark, and alive. And in this deep stillness, humanity looked to the land and saw the face of a mother. She was not a single figure. She was all things. Mountain and cave, seed and rain, cradle and grave. Every tree that gave fruit, every stream that gave water, every field that gave wheat, all were understood as her body, her offering, her endless womb. This was the dawn of the divine feminine, not a voice of thunder, not a sword of conquest, but a quiet, patient breath that held life, death, and life again. Long before written words, people carved her into stone. Tiny statues, soft in shape, round in belly, full in breast. The Venus figurines, small enough to rest in the palm, yet vast in meaning. They were tokens of gratitude, symbols of fertility, prayers shaped into clay. Each curve whispered of the abundance of the earth. Each detail was a reminder. Life begins in the mother, and life returns to her. Imagine a firelit cave. Shadows flicker on the walls. Women and men sit together, pressing seeds into soil by day, offering songs by night. Above them, the moon rises, her face pale, round, and glowing. The people look upward and see not a rock of stone, but the mirror of the mother, waxing, waning, yet always returning. The moon became her sign, gentle, cyclic, patient. She taught that time was not a straight line, but a circle. Birth, growth, death, and return. The endless weaving of beginnings into endings. Across the grasslands, across deserts, across seas, different tribes gave her different names. Yet her essence was always the same. In Anatolia, she was carved as the great seated mother. In the Indus Valley, she appeared among flowing rivers. In the fertile crescent of Mesopotamia, she rose as Inanna, queen of heaven. Each land gave her a new face, yet beneath every face was the same breath, the earth herself, sacred and alive. When the rains fell, people said the mother was blessing her children. When the crops grew tall, they said her womb was full. When storms came and the ground shook, they said she was reminding them of her power. Gentle, but not small. Even destruction was part of her circle. From death, new life would grow. This belief was not of fear, but of belonging. The mother was not distant. She was beneath their feet, above their heads, and within their breath. Every heartbeat was her rhythm. Every newborn cry was her song. In the stillness of night, imagine the first priestesses stepping into sacred caves, their hands dipped in red ochre, painting spirals on the walls. The spiral was her sign. Round and round the path of time, not ending, only returning. The spiral could be a shell, a womb, a galaxy, a seed. All whispers of the same truth. They sang to her in soft tones, their voices rising like smoke. Drums beat slowly like heartbeats. Flutes carried notes into the shadows. The cave itself seemed to breathe with them, and those who listened felt safe, as if the mother herself was rocking them in her unseen arms. In later ages, temples rose. Stone replaced clay. Columns stretched upward like trees of eternity. Priestesses kept her fires burning. Their lamps and torches were more than light. They were symbols of her spirit. The flame was her presence, steady and alive, glowing gently against the night. Picture a temple courtyard where women pour water into basins of stone. The water shines like liquid silver under the moon. It is offered not to quench thirst, but as a prayer that the mother's rivers will keep flowing, that the womb of the earth will keep giving. Every gesture was slow, careful, and sacred. To touch water was to touch her. To light a flame was to honor her breath. To hold grain in the hand was to cradle her gift. As time moved on, new gods arose, warriors, kings, lords of sky and thunder. But still, behind their voices, the mother remained. She was not lost, only hidden. Her presence slipped quietly into the background, woven into stories, symbols, and rituals. She became Mary in the quiet of prayer, Isis with wings outstretched, Tara with gentle smile, Sophia whispering wisdom. The names changed, yet the spirit endured. The eternal feminine never faded. She lived in the silence between words, in the shadows of temples, in the softness of the moon, in the patience of water. She was always there. Now let the image return. The dark earth, the star-filled sky, the fire glowing at the center of the circle. The people gathered, their heads bowed, their hearts at ease. They know they are children of the Mother. They know her arms are wide enough to hold them all. They know that when their bodies fall, they will return to her soil, and she will cradle them into new life again. This is the dawn of the divine feminine. The first breath, the first song, the first comfort. And so, dear dreamer, rest in her presence. Feel the earth beneath you, soft, patient, endless. See the moon above you, gentle, guiding, eternal. Let the spiral carry you inward, round and round, until your breath is slow and your heart is calm. The Mother is still here. She has always been here. Her arms are around you. Her breath is within you. Her silence is your sleep. Now drift onward, into dreams as old as the stars, into rest as deep as the soil, into peace as gentle as the Mother's hand. The dawn of the divine feminine rises not in the sky, but within your spirit, soft, quiet, endless. Now, rest. As the stars return, the night is calm. The stars are scattered like quiet seeds across the velvet sky. A soft wind drifts through, carrying the hush of ancient deserts. Somewhere, a temple bell rings faintly, echoing into the distance. You find yourself drifting back into the oldest stories, where stone tablets held songs of gods and queens, and where one name rose again and again, Inanna. She was called the Queen of Heaven and Earth, bright as the morning star, fierce as the evening flame. But she was also tender, a figure of love, fertility, and renewal. Her name shimmered through the hymns of Sumer, whispered in the cities of Uruk and Ur, carried in the breath of poets and priestesses who spoke of her beauty, her courage, her endless journeying. Imagine the great city of Uruk. Its walls tower high, its streets alive with merchants and music. In the heart of the city stands her temple, its ziggurat rising like a mountain built by human hands. Flames of oil lamps flicker at its base. Priestesses in flowing garments move slowly, their voices weaving chants into the night air. Every word is for her, the goddess who embodies both sky and soil, who gathers heaven in one hand and earth in the other. The people saw her in the planets above. They looked to Venus, glowing bright at dusk and dawn, and they whispered, "Inanna walks again." Her light was a guide to travelers. Her brilliance was a promise of return. Like the planet that fades and reappears, she was never gone, only hidden, waiting, reborn. But her most ancient tale is a descent, a journey not to the sky, but into the shadowed halls of the underworld. The hymns tell that Inanna, in her courage, chose to walk the path no one dared. She desired to understand death itself, to meet her sister Ereshkigal, the silent queen who ruled below. Step by step, Inanna moved downward. At each gate, the guardian stopped her, and at each gate, something was taken away. Her crown, her necklace, her bracelets, her breastplate, her robe, her ring, her sandals. One by one, the symbols of her power and glory were stripped away, until she stood bare, a soul without protection, naked before the shadows. The descent was not punishment. It was a lesson. Even the Queen of Heaven must face stillness, must surrender all, must meet the silence of the grave. In the underworld, Inanna was judged. Her body hung like a lifeless husk. The songs say she was trapped for 3 days and 3 nights. The world above withered. Crops failed. Waters slowed. Love and desire faded from the earth. But no story ends in silence. Her loyal servants, her allies, and the compassion of the gods brought help to the gates below. Through sacrifice and wisdom, the balance shifted. Inanna rose again. She ascended the dark stairway, passing once more through each gate. Yet even as she returned, she was no longer the same. The journey had changed her. The goddess who shone like the morning star had now tasted the silence of death. She emerged radiant, but also wise, carrying within her the secret of cycles, that all things must fall, all things must rise, and all life moves through this circle. For the people of Mesopotamia, this was not just myth, it was the rhythm of their lives. The river floods, then recedes, the crops sprout, then wither. The moon waxes, then wanes, and always it returns again. So too does the soul. Inanna's descent was their mirror. It reminded them that grief and loss are part of the path, but not the end of it. Even in the darkest silence, a return waits. A new dawn follows every night. Her hymns speak also of love. Inanna was not only the goddess of descent, but of passion, fertility, and joy. Her union with Dumuzi, the shepherd king, was sung each year in sacred rites. Their embrace was not just a tale of desire, but a symbol of earth and sky joining, of rain blessing the fields, of seed entering soil. In their love, the land itself renewed. In their union, harvests grew. Inanna's passion was not a fleeting spark. It was the fire of life, the flame that keeps the earth fertile, the joy that keeps hearts alive. Picture a moonlit courtyard. Priestesses dance slowly, their arms raised like branches. Drums beat in soft rhythms, echoing the steady pulse of the earth. Their voices rise in praise of Inanna, their songs calling for renewal, their steps tracing the path of descent and ascent. Every movement is prayer, every breath is offering, and in the stillness between notes, the goddess is felt. Not distant but near, resting in the hearts of her people. As you drift deeper into her story, imagine the light of Venus in the sky. Sometimes she rises in the morning, sometimes she sets in the evening, but always she returns. That light is Inanna's gift, a reminder that even in the night there is a promise of dawn. Even in silence there is a seed of song. She is not only Queen of Heaven, not only Queen of Earth. She is the bridge between them, the breath between life and death, the hand that reaches across shadow and light. The tale of Inanna is ancient, yet her spirit still whispers in the world. Every time a flower pushes through soil, her ascent is remembered. Every time the moon disappears and returns, her rhythm is echoed. Every time the heart feels loss and then finds joy again, her story is lived once more. The Queen of Heaven and Earth is not locked in the past. She walks still in every cycle, in every return, in every soul that dares to descend and rise again. Now let the story settle within you. Let the slow rhythm of her descent and return carry you into calm. Feel the crown set down, the robe untied, the burdens released. Feel yourself bare, weightless, free. Then feel the gentle ascent, the rising of breath, the return of light. The cycle is complete, the circle unbroken, and in this circle you rest. Drift now, dreamer. Drift with Inanna's star. Drift into sleep as soft as the desert night. Drift into silence as deep as the underworld. And know that beyond every silence, light returns. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return. The river is quiet tonight. The Nile moves slowly under the silver watch of the moon. Its waters glimmer like a ribbon of stars, carrying with it the breath of ancient songs. Palm trees lean softly at its banks, their shadows dancing on the rippling surface. And in this stillness, a name drifts like a prayer. Isis. She is called the mother of magic, the healer of wounds, the gatherer of fragments, the life-giver who turns sorrow into renewal. Her presence is felt not only in temples of stone, but in every whisper of the river breeze, in every seed that awakens in the dark soil, in every tear that becomes a well of compassion. Long ago, the people of Egypt raised their eyes to her. They painted her with wings outstretched, feathers curved like the embrace of night. They carved her into walls of limestone, and they lit lamps in her honor, believing she walked among them, gentle as the morning sun. Her story begins with devotion, but it also begins with grief. For Isis loved Osiris, the green god of life and harvest, the king whose presence made the earth bloom. Yet Osiris was taken, his body torn and scattered across the land. The world dimmed, the waters trembled, and silence hung heavy on the banks of the Nile. But Isis did not surrender. She moved with patience and devotion. With the river as her guide, she searched the land, gathering each piece of Osiris. One fragment here,
one fragment there.
A journey of mourning, but also of unyielding love. With every discovery, she sang over the broken form, weaving together spirit and flesh with the threads of her magic. It was said that her voice itself held healing, that her breath was a spell, that her tears became sacred waters. When the body was whole, she bent close and whispered life back into him. And from their union came Horus, child of the falcon, heir to the throne, born of devotion stronger than death. Isis was more than a queen. She was the very rhythm of care. The people saw her not only as divine, but as mother, as healer, as one who understood pain and transformed it into renewal. When illness came, her name was invoked in healing chants. When children were born, her blessing was asked in quiet prayers. Her magic was not the fire of destruction, but the gentle flame of protection, a light that guarded the fragile soul. Imagine her temple at Philae, standing on an island surrounded by waters. The steps descend into the Nile, and pilgrims arrive by boat, their oars gliding silently. Inside, incense coils upward, and lamps cast golden circles on the stone. Statues of the goddess rise in shadow, their faces serene, their arms open like wings. A priestess pours milk into a vessel. Another sprinkles fresh flowers. Their voices are low, singing hymns to Isis the merciful. Every note seems to move with the rhythm of the Nile, as if the river itself hums in harmony. The myths tell us she was not only a mother to gods, but to humanity itself. She taught women how to grind grain. She taught men how to weave cloth. She taught all people the wisdom of planting, the keeping of time, the reading of stars. She was called magician, but her magic was not distant. It was in the simple acts of life, in food prepared with love, in medicine made with herbs, in the gentle holding of a child. Her power was the sacred woven into the ordinary. The Egyptians often painted her with a throne upon her head, for she herself was the throne, the seat upon which kings rested, the foundation upon which kingdoms stood. Without her, power was empty. With her, rule became guided by compassion, and so Horus, her son, the falcon who soared across the sky, was never far from her embrace. Even in his battles, her wings were his shelter. Even in his triumphs, her wisdom was his guide. The people remembered her grief, but they also remembered her triumph. For Isis showed that love does not end with death. It continues. It searches. It heals. It restores. In every funeral rite her presence was called. She was the mourner who cried with the living, the healer who carried the soul onward, the promise that no heart is ever truly alone. As you drift deeper into her story, picture the Nile once more. The moonlight rests gently on its waves. The water moves slowly, like a breath, like a lullaby. This river is her gift, flowing each year, spilling over its banks, leaving rich soil in its wake. From death comes life. From sorrow comes renewal. From silence comes song. This is the rhythm of Isis. In temples she was called the Great Enchantress. Sailors prayed to her on restless seas. Farmers prayed to her in times of drought. Mothers prayed to her at the cradle. And through centuries her image spread beyond the Nile, across seas, across deserts, into lands far from Egypt. For the heart recognizes her, the one who heals, the one who restores, the one who transforms grief into life again. Now, let her wings settle around you, soft feathers folding like night over your shoulders. The sound of the river quiets your breath. The fragrance of incense lingers in the still air. You rest as if held by the mother of magic herself. Her gift is not only for gods, not only for kings, but for you, for every soul that carries loss, for every heart that seeks renewal. Her story remains a gentle flame. Let yourself drift with her river. Let yourself rest within her song. The moon above watches quietly. The Nile flows on, endless, eternal. Now sleep as Isis guards you. Sleep as her wings enfold you. Sleep as the river carries you deeper. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return. The desert quiets as the sun sinks low. The sky glows in layers of gold, then softens into rose and violet. The sand cools beneath the breath of evening, and in the distance the slow hum of a drum begins. The Nile shimmers beneath the twilight, its waters carrying light like liquid glass. A breeze passes through papyrus reeds, whispering like the murmur of an unseen choir, and there, in this sacred hush, her presence drifts near. Hathor, the gentle one. She is the goddess of joy and of love, the goddess of music and of dance. the mother who nourishes as the cow, whose milk is sweet, whose embrace is endless, whose laughter heals the weary soul. The Egyptians looked to her when the heart grew heavy. They lifted songs to her when the harvest was gathered, when children were born, when the sun rose bright upon a new day. For she was not distant, not cold or stern, but warm, like the first sip of morning light. Her temples were filled with sound, the shaking of the sistrum, a sacred rattle that called her presence, the soft thrum of drums, the rise and fall of voices singing her name in devotion. Even the walls were alive with her image, Hathor, crowned with the sun disk, horns encircling its glow, a symbol of life held close, safe in her keeping. Stories tell that she welcomed souls into the realm beyond. She greeted them with open arms, offering drink, offering rest, offering the peace of a mother's love. To enter her embrace was to know that no journey ended in loneliness, that the spirit was always cared for, always nourished. Others spoke of her as the Lady of the Sycamore, a great tree by the desert's edge from which she poured cool water, sustaining travelers, restoring the tired, giving shade and fruit. In her, the people saw not only a goddess, but the kindness that keeps life whole. Imagine her festival, when the sun was high and the fields were heavy with grain. People gathered in joy, their hands clapping in rhythm, their voices lifted in song. Women shook the sistrum, its sound like rain upon bronze, awakening delight. Men played flutes and drums while dancers turned in circles, their robes flowing like river waves. It was said that to honor Hathor was to step into joy itself, for she was the spark of laughter, the sweetness of wine, the rhythm that moves the body to dance. Her presence was life overflowing, never harsh, always gentle, always giving. There was once a tale when Hathor was the eye of the sun. Fiery and fierce, she walked upon the earth, her strength unmatched. Yet even in this form, she was soothed by music, for joy was her true nature, and in the sound of the sistrum her heart softened, her light turned warm again. This is the power she held, to remind the world that joy itself is divine, that laughter heals, that gentleness is stronger than anger or fear. Those who prayed to Hathor asked for her blessing in love. Couples sought her favor. Mothers asked her protection. Fathers prayed for her watchful care over their children. Her love was not limited, nor was it distant. It spread like sunlight across the river, reaching all who opened their hearts. She was also the patron of beauty, not vanity, but the beauty of life itself, the beauty of song, of fragrance, of movement, of a smile that brings light to another's face. Hathor was the reminder that beauty is sacred, that joy is holy, that every tender moment is blessed. At Dendera, her great temple stood. Its columns rose tall, carved with her face, serene and smiling, ears open to music, eyes wide with welcome. Pilgrims came by boat, their oars slipping softly in the Nile, bringing offerings of flowers, honey, and milk. Inside, lamps glowed golden. The air was sweet with incense. Priests and priestesses sang in rhythm, voices weaving like threads of silk. The sistrum rang, its sound said to scatter shadows, to awaken joy, to open the heart. Picture now the sacred, cow gentle and radiant, her great eyes calm as deep water. She lowers her head, and milk flows, pure and nourishing, like light itself, made drinkable. This image of Hathor was carried in the hearts of the people. For what greater love exists than to nourish, to sustain, to give life with no demand? Her milk was not only food, but spirit made whole. It was the gift of safety, the comfort of knowing that all would be cared for. In the myths, she was also the mother of Horus. In her arms, the falcon child rested, and through her, the power of kingship was blessed. For no ruler stood without her, no crown rested firm without the foundation of her love. Even the throne of Egypt leaned upon her gentle strength. And so, through centuries, Hathor was called again and again, at birth, at harvest, at death, at every moment where life shifted and the soul sought comfort. Let us linger with her now. The desert is still beneath the night sky. The stars gather above, countless and soft. A drum continues in the distance, slow and steady, like the rhythm of a heart. The Nile reflects the moon, a long silver path stretching onward. You may imagine yourself beneath the sycamore tree, its leaves whispering in the breeze. Cool water trickles from its roots. Hathor stands near, a smile upon her lips, her eyes kind, her arms open in welcome. You rest within her embrace, as safe as a child, as calm as the river at dawn. Hathor teaches that joy is sacred, that the laughter of a child, the softness of music, the sweetness of fruit, the warmth of love, all are divine. She is the reminder that to live with tenderness is itself a prayer, and so her story flows on, not as a single tale, but as countless moments of care, countless sparks of happiness, countless embraces that soften sorrow. Now, let the music of her sistrum echo softly in your heart. Let the gentle wings of night fold over you. Let the river's calm breath carry you deeper. For Hathor's embrace is endless. She is here in every soft smile, in every note of music, in every moment of peace. Let us drift onward, held in her arms. Now rest as the stars return. Night rises gently over the mountains of Greece. The last warmth of the sun fades, and a silver glow takes its place. The moon lifts slow and calm, casting light across hills and forests, touching leaves with quiet radiance and laying a path of silver upon the sea. The air grows cool. Cicadas soften their song. Owls stir in the branches, their wings silent as drifting clouds. The forest exhales. And through this hush, a presence glides. It is Artemis, the maiden of the hunt, the goddess of the moon, protector of wild things, keeper of sacred groves. She moves without sound, her feet brushing against pine needles, her bow resting across her shoulder, her arrows tipped with moonlight. Her eyes are calm, bright as the first star of night. Animals do not flee from her. They draw near, trusting her as guardian. The deer bow their heads. The wolves follow at a distance, silent and watchful. The hares pause in the grass, their hearts steady in her presence. Artemis belongs to no man, to no kingdom, to no hearth. Her realm is the forest, the mountain, the stream. She is freedom itself, untamed, unbroken, ever wandering beneath the moon. The ancients told her story as twin to Apollo, her brother of the sun. He brought the fire of day, the music of the lyre, the heat of shining noon. She brought the silver of night, the stillness of shadows, the cool breath of the hidden glen. Together, sun and moon, light and shade, balance and harmony. From her earliest moments, Artemis was close to the wild. As a child, she asked her father, mighty Zeus, for gifts of freedom. She asked for eternal youth, for a bow and arrows like her brothers, for a band of companions to roam the woods with her, and for the right to remain untamed, to belong to herself alone. Zeus, loving her deeply, granted all she desired. And so she wandered, forever young, forever free. Her groves became holy places. Sacred trees rose toward the heavens, branches touching starlight. Springs bubbled in hidden valleys, cool and clear, blessed as her gifts. Women prayed to her in silence. Maidens offered her flowers and songs, for Artemis was their guardian, the one who watched over them through the fragile seasons of youth. When a child was born, Artemis was near. Though a goddess of the hunt, she carried arrows and hounds, she was also tender, called upon by mothers to bring safety and life. She had once helped her own mother, Leto, deliver her twin brother beneath a swaying palm. And so she knew the strength of women, the trial of birth, the holiness of new beginnings. Her bow shone beneath the stars. It was not made for cruelty, but for balance. She hunted, yes, yet always with reverence. To kill without respect was not her way. Every life in the forest was under her gaze, every creature sacred. Her arrows were swift, but her justice swifter. Those who harmed the innocent, who disrespected her groves, often found her wrath. Yet for the gentle, for the pure of heart, Her protection was unwavering. In this she was both fierce and kind. The ancients saw in her the strength of the wild and the mercy of the moon. Many tales surrounded her name. Some spoke of Orion, the great hunter, who walked beside her. He loved her company, and together they roamed through forests and across seas. Yet Orion's fate was sorrowful. Some say Apollo, her brother, grew jealous and tricked her. Others say Orion overstepped, reaching beyond his place. In the end, he was struck down by her arrow and lifted among the stars, a constellation forever shining. And so, when we look to the heavens, we see Orion walking still, forever in the company of his beloved goddess. Her sanctuaries were scattered across the land. At Brauron, in Attica, young girls danced in her honor, dressed in saffron robes, moving like gentle deer. They were called her bears, symbols of her protection, living reminders that she watched over the passage from girl to woman. At Ephesus, a great temple rose, pillars reaching high, one of the wonders of the world. There she was honored as Great Mother, giver of life, keeper of abundance. In every place, her form shifted, sometimes fierce, sometimes tender, but always radiant in silver light. Her presence was not only in temples, but in the quiet of the woods, in the song of the nightingale, in the hush of a moonlit glade. She was there when the doe led her fawn to drink. She was there when the shepherd raised his eyes to the sky. She was there when the maiden prayed, seeking strength in times of trial. Artemis was not distant. She was woven into the rhythms of life, into the pulse of the earth itself. To walk beneath the moonlight was to walk in her shadow. To hear the cry of the owl was to hear her voice. To feel the hush of the forest was to sense her watching. Close your eyes and imagine. The forest is wide. The trees are tall, their branches heavy with stars. The ground is soft with moss. A stream flows nearby, its water silver in the night. The air is cool, carrying the scent of pine and earth. There she stands, Artemis of the silver moon. Her hair flows like night's own veil. Her robe glimmers like dew. Her bow rests in her hand, light as a beam of starlight. She turns, and her gaze meets yours, calm, steady, filled with the peace of eternity. You feel safe in her presence, protected, free. She teaches not through words, but through stillness. The lesson of Artemis is simple: to live in harmony with the wild, to respect the balance of life, to walk freely, yet with care. Her path is not of cities or crowns, but of moonlit trails and hidden streams. She reminds us that freedom and gentleness are not opposites, but companions. The silver moon above is her crown. Its glow touches the waters, touches the trees, touches your heart. And as you drift deeper into rest, her presence lingers like a quiet blessing. The night deepens. The stars shimmer soft and endless. The forest hums in silence, alive with her spirit. The river moves slowly, carrying the moon's reflection toward the horizon. Artemis walks onward, ever watchful, ever radiant. Her silver light remains a gentle shield, a calm companion. Let us drift onward, guided by her moon. Now rest as the stars return. Night falls softly upon the ancient land. The air is cool, touched with the faint scent of earth and stone. Above, the sky opens wide, velvet and deep, with stars scattered like gentle sparks of thought. The city below grows quiet, its streets hushed, its lamps glowing faintly in the distance. This is the hour when the mind grows still. This is the hour when the voice of wisdom may be heard. And so, beneath the calm of twilight, we drift into the story of Athena, the goddess whose spirit was both strong and serene, the one who guarded cities, guided mortals, and offered peace through symbols simple and enduring. An owl that sees in darkness, an olive branch that brings harmony to hands that hold it. Let us wander into her calm embrace and listen as her story unfolds. Athena was known as the daughter of Zeus, born in a flash of light. It was said she emerged fully grown, armored, and radiant from the mind of her father. Yet though she bore the strength of battle, her heart carried stillness. Her power was not of fire and rage, but of reason, thought, and balance. She was the protector of Athens, the shining city that bore her name. But her wisdom reached far beyond one place. She was called upon in homes and temples, in fields and councils, in the quiet of study and the clamor of decisions. Her presence was like a gentle wind, guiding thought, cooling anger, shaping choices. To know Athena was to walk in calm strength, to stand firm but not in pride, to listen more deeply than one spoke, to act with clarity like the steady flame of an oil lamp in the dark. Two symbols followed her always: the owl, watcher of the night, and the olive branch, bearer of peace. The owl, small yet watchful, carried wisdom in its unblinking gaze. Its wings whispered across the silence of dusk. Its eyes pierced the veil of shadows. Where others saw confusion, the owl found patterns. Where others lost their way, the owl remembered the path. In ancient times, an owl perched near the temples of Athena was seen as a sign of protection. It told the people, "Wisdom is present here. No danger will take you by surprise." The night itself becomes a friend. The olive branch was her gift to the city of Athens. In the old tales, the gods gathered on the rocky hill that would become the Acropolis. Each deity offered a gift to the mortals who lived below. Poseidon, lord of the seas, struck the ground with his trident, and a fountain of salt water rose. But Athena bent to the earth and placed her hand upon the soil. From that touch a tree grew, its trunk steady, its leaves silver green, its fruit small and golden. The olive tree, it gave oil for light, it gave food for the table, it gave wood for warmth, and from its branches came a sign of peace. The mortals chose Athena's gift, and the city became hers, a place of wisdom, of strength, of light. Picture, for a moment, the Acropolis beneath the moon, the Parthenon rising in soft marble glow, the columns tall and silent, touched by shadows of nightbirds in flight. Somewhere an owl calls, its voice echoing against the stone, and near the edge an olive tree bends gently in the breeze, its leaves whispering like secrets carried to the stars. The people of Athens would walk beneath those branches. They would see in them a reminder: peace is always within reach. Wisdom and calm are never far. The tree rooted deep, the owl flying free. Both spoke of balance between earth and sky. Athena was not only a goddess of wisdom, but also a guide in times of conflict. Yet even in war her hand was steady. She was not like Ares, whose fire burned with fury. Her presence was cool, like water flowing around stone. She counseled patience. She showed mortals that strength is not only in the sword, but in the mind that wields it. Her wisdom was sought in questions of justice. In the old courts, her voice was imagined as a final balancing weight. When mortals struggled to choose, her spirit offered clarity. And always, she pointed to peace where it could be found. The owl and the olive live also as symbols of the soul. The owl is the inward gaze, the ability to see clearly in the dark places of thought, to notice what others overlook, to move quietly through the mysteries of life. The olive branch is the outward hand, the choice to offer calm, to share kindness, to reach across divides. It is the gesture of harmony, of saying we may rest side by side. Together they remind us that wisdom is both within and beyond, both reflection and action, both silence and speech. As the night deepens, imagine yourself walking through a grove of olives. The air is still, the earth warm beneath your steps. Each tree rises with gentle strength, its branches twisting with age, its fruit hidden in shadow. You move slowly, unhurried. The leaves shimmer silver under the moon like tiny mirrors of starlight. And then, above, you notice an owl resting quietly. Its head turns. Its eyes glimmer, bright yet calm. It watches, but it does not stir. Its presence reassures you. You are seen. You are safe. You are held in the stillness of this sacred night. Athena's gifts are not loud. They do not arrive in fire or storm. They arrive like quiet thoughts that come at the edge of sleep, like the gentle answer to a question long carried in silence, like the peace that follows when anger fades. Her wisdom is the wisdom of balance, of knowing when to hold firm and when to yield, of knowing when to speak and when to rest in silence, of knowing that strength is not always shown in force, but in restraint. So let this night carry her presence to you. Let the owl rest upon the branch of your mind, guarding your dreams. Let the olive tree spread its shade across your heart, bringing ease. And as your body sinks deeper into calm, remember that wisdom is gentle. It whispers, it soothes, it guides without demand. Athena watches as the city sleeps. The temples quiet. The fires low. The streets empty. Only the stars remain, scattered across the wide silence of the sky. And within that silence the goddess of wisdom lingers, her gaze steady, her hand offering peace. Now rest in her presence. Let the owl's wings shelter you, let the olive's shade cool you, let the night carry you inward, toward the calm of your own heart. The story has ended, but the dream continues. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return. The night is quiet. The fields rest under a veil of silver light. Winds are soft, moving gently across tall grasses. Grain bends and sways as if in a slow breath. Above the moon lingers, round and pale, casting a tender glow across the sleeping earth. This is the land of Demeter, the goddess of the fields, the one whose heart holds both sorrow and joy, the one whose tears shape the seasons, and whose smile awakens the harvest. Let us drift now into her story, a story of love, of loss, and of return. A story as old as the turning of the year, Demeter was the goddess of grain and growing things. Her touch brought wheat from the soil. Her blessing turned seeds to fruit, vines to clusters of grapes, orchards to abundance. The people looked to her with reverence, for she was the mother of the harvest, the guardian of the golden fields. Yet her heart was not only in the land, it was bound too to her daughter Persephone, the maiden of spring. Bright, delicate, laughing among flowers, Persephone was the light of her mother's days, the fragrance in her breath, the joy in her eyes. Together they wandered meadows rich with bloom. Together they watched the first shoots rise after winter. Mother and daughter, a bond unbroken, a bond eternal, but the world, as the ancients said, moves in cycles of joy and sorrow. One day Persephone strayed among blossoms that opened like stars across a field. She reached for a flower unlike any other, a narcissus, radiant, glowing as though from another realm, and as her hand touched the petals the earth opened. From the darkness below a chariot rose, drawn by black horses, guided by Hades, lord of the underworld. In a breath, Persephone was taken. The ground closed, and silence returned. Only a few petals drifted where she had stood. Demeter searched. Her steps moved across hills, across rivers, across valleys where no one could tell her where her child had gone. The sun rose and fell, but her heart was heavy, and when her grief grew too deep, the earth felt it. The grain did not rise. The fruit did not ripen. The soil grew still beneath her sorrow. In the old songs, it is said that the people suffered. No bread filled their tables. No harvest came. And so the gods themselves felt the emptiness, for the offerings from the earth grew thin. The cries of hunger rose, carried on the wind, and Zeus, hearing this, sent messengers to the underworld. He commanded Hades to release Persephone. But a seed had already been eaten, a seed of the pomegranate, small, red, glistening as blood. And by tasting it, Persephone was bound. Thus, a balance was struck. Persephone would return to her mother for part of the year, and for part of the year she would dwell below. When Persephone returned, Demeter's heart bloomed once more. She embraced her daughter, and the earth rejoiced. Fields turned golden, vines grew heavy, trees bent with fruit. The harvest came, full and rich. But when Persephone left again, Demeter's heart grew still. Her tears fell upon the soil. The earth lay barren, waiting for her joy to return. So the seasons came to be. Spring and summer, when mother and daughter walked the fields. Autumn and winter, when sorrow covered the land. Close your eyes now and picture the cycle. The wheel of the year turning slow. Seeds falling into dark earth. Green shoots rising toward the sun. Grain bending under golden skies. And then, the stillness of frost, when the fields lie bare. All of it, a reflection of Demeter's heart. The sorrow of loss, the joy of reunion, the eternal rhythm of life and rest. The ancients saw her story not only in the fields, but in their own lives. For loss comes to all, and yet return also comes. Darkness enters, yet it is not forever. Light returns even after the longest night. The seed must rest in silence before it can rise. The tree must shed its leaves before new buds appear, and so too must the soul journey through sorrow to find joy again. Imagine walking now through a field in summer. The wheat stands tall, golden and heavy. The sun lowers, painting the land in warm amber light. You hear the soft rustle of grain, like whispers moving in the breeze. Demeter's presence is here, in the abundance, in the peace, in the gentle rhythm of earth. Now imagine walking in winter. The field is bare. Frost touches the soil. The sky is pale and wide, yet even here in the silence there is promise. Beneath the ground, seeds are waiting. The breath of Demeter is hidden, but not gone. Her grief is deep. But her love is deeper still, and it is this love that brings the harvest, this love that turns emptiness to plenty, this love that ensures spring always returns. In her story, sorrow is not the end. It is part of the turning, a season among seasons, a passage that leads again to joy. As you rest now, let Demeter's story flow gently through you. When you feel sorrow, remember it is but one part of the cycle. When you feel joy, let it nourish you, like grain in the field. The earth teaches patience, the goddess teaches hope. Let the rustle of wheat become your lullaby. Let the image of Persephone's return be your comfort. Let the turning of the seasons remind you that nothing is lost forever. Now the night grows deeper. The fields lie quiet. The moon shines upon the earth, touching both frost and flower with the same light. Demeter walks slowly across her golden lands, her gaze tender, her hands open. She blesses the soil. She blesses the seed. She blesses the dreamer who rests beneath her story. Let us drift onward into the stillness of night. Now rest as the stars return. Sleep gently as the fields wait for morning. The night unfolds slowly. The stars scatter across the heavens like grains of silver dust. A faint wind travels through valleys and over ridges, carrying the low hum of unseen drums. The air feels wide and open, filled with the breath of mountains. Here, among the wild crags and whispering pines, lives the spirit of Cybele, the great mother of Phrygia, keeper of peaks and guardian of untamed places. Let your mind wander gently into her realm, a land of rocky slopes, of caves hidden in shadow, of rivers born from springs that pour from the heart of stone. The moon lingers above the ridges, and its glow rests softly on the mother's throne. Not carved in marble, not set in gold, but made of mountain itself, solid, enduring, strong, yet nurturing Cybele is the great mother. The ancients felt her in the trembling of the earth, in the roar of lions, in the steady strength of stone. She is the vastness of the wild, the pulse of life rising untamed from the soil. She is not bound to the order of walls or the silence of temples. She is found where the earth is alive, on slopes where shepherds guide their flocks, in forests where drums echo at night, in high caves where prayers meet the wind. Her children are all beings, birds that lift on dawn's first light, beasts that walk the fields, humans too who seek her guidance when the ground beneath them feels uncertain. Her embrace is fierce yet filled with care. Like the mountain itself she can shelter, like the mountain itself she can also shake. The ancients told of her chariot, drawn not by horses but by lions, majestic creatures proud and wild, padding across stone paths with silent power. Their breath misted in the cool air. Their golden eyes shone in the moonlight. The sound of their paws was the heartbeat of the wilderness, and where they walked, the mother followed. To hear her presence was to hear the pounding of drums, not hurried but steady, the kind of sound that matches the rhythm of your own heart, the kind that lulls the spirit into stillness, even as it awakens awe. The ancients played those drums to honor her, their hands on stretched hide called to the wild places, called to the mother, called to the strength that lies in all who live. Cybele was worshipped in Phrygia, where mountains rose like walls against the sky. There her altars were carved into stone cliffs. Her statues rested in caves surrounded by offerings of flowers, milk, and honey. The people came to her not only for blessing, but for the reminder that life is both tender and fierce, that to live is to belong to earth, to rock, to root, to breath. Her presence was also felt in Rome, where she was called the Magna Mater, the Great Mother. When times of struggle came, her symbol was carried into the city, and the people believed that with her came protection, resilience, and the power to endure. For mountains do not fall at the first storm, and so too, those who call upon her learn to stand steady through winds and rains alike. Picture now the mother's image. She sits upon a throne of stone. Beside her lions rest, calm and watchful. In her hands she holds a drum, the tympanum round and shining in the light. She does not strike it with force, but with a soft, steady beat. The sound rolls outward, gentle yet unceasing. It carries across hills, down into valleys, into forests, and even into dreams. It is not a sound to startle. It is a sound to ground, a sound that reminds the spirit, you belong to the earth, and the earth belongs to you. Her story is not only one of strength, but also of compassion. For as mountains hold rivers in their valleys, so does Cybele hold sorrow within her heart. The ancients told of Attis, the youth beloved by her, beautiful and bright, yet fragile as the first bloom of spring. His life ended too soon, and from his blood violets grew. Cybele wept for him, and her tears fed the earth. From loss came renewal, from grief, the cycle of rebirth. The people saw in this the truth of the world, that even in wild strength the mother feels pain, that even in grief life continues. Mountains endure not because they do not weep, but because they hold their tears within streams that nourish the valleys below. Close your eyes now. Imagine standing before her mountain throne. The air is cool, carrying the scent of pine and stone. A lion breathes near, its breath warm and steady, yet it does not frighten you. It only reminds you of power that is calm. Above, the stars wheel slowly, as though they too bow to her presence. The drum in her hand beats softly, matching the rhythm of your own resting heart. One beat, then silence, then another. Time slows. The body loosens, the spirit sinks deeper into stillness. Cybele's story reminds us that wildness is not chaos. It is life untamed, flowing in its true form. The river does not ask where to run. The tree does not ask how to grow. So too, the soul may rest when it allows itself to be held by the Great Mother's embrace. She whispers not in words, but in winds. She comforts not with touch, but with the presence of earth itself beneath your body. Her love is vast, her care unending. Let her be the mountain at your back. Let her be the ground beneath your feet. Let her be the rhythm in your chest, steady and sure. When sorrow weighs heavy, remember her tears that became streams. When joy feels fleeting, remember her violets blooming even in loss. When fear arrives, remember her lions, fierce yet calm in her presence. Strength need not roar. It may also rest in silence. It may also sing in the hush of wind through pine. The night deepens now. The stars gleam brighter, their light sharp against the dark. The drums grow faint, as if fading into the distance. Yet their rhythm lingers within you, steady as a pulse, soft as a breath. The mother does not leave. She is always here, in the mountains, in the fields, in the wild corners of your own heart. Her throne is eternal. Her embrace never ends. Rest now, under her gaze. The lions lie down in the grass. The mountain stands unmoving. The Great Mother watches over the earth and over you. Let the drum beat slow until it becomes silence. Let the silence deepen until it becomes sleep. Let us drift onward into dreams as vast as valleys, as safe as stone. Now rest as the stars return. The night opens softly. A silver glow spills across the dark sky. The air is cool, gentle, almost weightless. A stillness spreads like water across a quiet lake. Above, the moon rests in its throne of shadow. Not loud, not demanding, but patient. A silent guardian. Watching, guiding, blessing the earth with its quiet light. As you drift deeper into this night, let the glow of the moon steady your breath. Slow, calm, endless as the rhythm of the tide. The stars bow around it, and the dark sky becomes a gentle dome of safety. Since ancient times, people have lifted their eyes to the moon. It has always been there, faithful in its return, gentle in its glow, its cycle a circle of life and renewal, waxing, full, waning, vanishing into shadow only to be reborn again. The ancients saw in it a promise that nothing is ever truly lost, only resting, only waiting for return. The Babylonians gazed at the moon as a sacred presence. They called it the lamp of the night. Priestesses sang prayers beneath its silver arc, believing it carried messages between heaven and earth. For them, the moon was a motherly witness. It guarded the city walls. It listened to whispers of hope, of sorrow, of love. Its light was not sharp like the sun, but soft, like the touch of a caring hand on a weary brow. In the stillness of Babylon, the moon was tied to the great god Sin, the father of time. He was pictured as an old man with a long beard of shining light, a crescent resting on his head. The priestesses of his temples moved by moonlight, chanting slow, low hymns, voices blending with the silence of night. When the people looked upward, they felt seen. They felt guided. The moon circled above them like a shepherd's lamp, leading them through the darkness. Close your eyes now. Imagine the wide plains of Mesopotamia. The river runs like silver beneath the night sky. Clay temples rise, their walls holding the warmth of the day. Torches flicker low, yet the moon above gives light enough to walk. Its glow covers the land, every brick, every stone, every resting body in calm. In later ages, the moon's crescent became a sign that traveled far beyond Babylon. It curved like a cradle, like arms holding the world in embrace. In Islamic lands, the crescent was carried high above domes and minarets. It glimmered against the night, a reminder that heaven is near. As prayers rose at dawn, at noon, at sunset, and into the night, the moon remained, a silent guardian circling above. The crescent was not only a symbol of faith, it was also a rhythm of time, for the moon shaped the calendar, the sacred months, the moments of fasting and feasting. It guided the faithful not by voice but by presence, always circling,
always returning.
a motherly witness, patient and enduring. Imagine now a desert beneath its glow. The sand cools as the night stretches across the dunes. The day's heat falls away, leaving the earth calm and hushed. A lone minaret points upward, tall against the stars. At its peak, a crescent gleams, catching the moonlight as if holding it in gentle hands. The world feels vast, but not empty, for the moon is there, circling above, never leaving. The moon has always been tied to guardianship. Its silver light touches the oceans, drawing the tides with invisible hands. It watches over travelers crossing plains. It rests upon rooftops where families sleep. It has no need of words, for its presence is enough. It has watched empires rise, and it has watched them fall. Through all things, it remains, a patient keeper of night. The ancients also saw the moon as a mirror of the human heart. Its changes reflected our own, sometimes full, shining with energy, sometimes hidden, retreating into shadow, but always part of the cycle, always on the path of return. The Babylonians trusted its waxing and waning as they trusted the river's flood. The faithful in later lands trusted its light to guide their prayers. And even now, when you step beneath its glow, you too are part of its long story, watched by the same guardian light that has guided countless souls before you. Let your mind picture the moon as a gentle lantern above the earth. Its light spills softly across mountains, seas, and forests. It settles on villages, on fields of wheat, on rivers winding like silver ribbons. It enters through windows, brushing the skin of sleepers. It calms, it blesses, it restores. In every land the moon has been loved. In every land the moon has been honored, for it belongs to no one and yet it belongs to all. It is the silent guardian that unites every prayer, every hope, every dream beneath its glow. The moon has many guardians too, stars that circle around it like companions, clouds that cradle it drifting slowly, covering and uncovering its face. Even the dark sky itself is its cloak, holding it close. It is never alone, just as you in this moment are not alone, for the same light that shines on far mountains also shines on you. Breathe with the moon's rhythm now.
Inhale as if taking in its cool light.
Exhale as if releasing your worries into the wide sky. Each breath softens you. Each breath carries you deeper into calm. The crescent's shape is soft, curved like a smile in the heavens. It reminds the soul of kindness, of shelter, of arms embracing. For some it was a sign of divine time. For others, a shield of protection. For all, it was comfort in the night. When the moon is full, it shines with completeness. When it wanes, it teaches surrender. When it waxes, it whispers of renewal. Always moving, always teaching, without a single word. Now imagine a calm sea. The moonlight spills upon it, making a path of silver across the waves. The water rocks gently as though breathing with the sky. Sailors once trusted that light to guide them, believing the moon to be their protector on long journeys. Its reflection reminded them that no matter how far they traveled, they were always held by the same guardian. So too are you held now. Your spirit may wander, your thoughts may drift, but the moon above watches. It does not judge, it does not demand. It only shines, softly, faithfully. The moon is eternal return. It wanes, but it comes back. It hides, but it shines again. It disappears, but only to be reborn. This too is its gift, a reminder that rest is not an end. It is a part of the cycle. Sleep is not a loss of waking. It is renewal, so that light may return again. Let yourself rest in that truth. The moon circles above, steady as breath. Its guardians, stars, clouds, silence, surround it. Together they keep watch. Together they offer peace. The night is deep now. The earth has grown quiet. The moon shines softly, no longer needing your gaze. It keeps its watch whether eyes are open or closed. It will still be there, circling above as your dreams unfold. Let us drift onward then, beneath its glow. Let your thoughts fade like clouds across the sky. Let the rhythm of your breath match the rhythm of the moon. Now rest as the stars return. The night opens with silence. Not empty silence, but one that breathes with hidden warmth. Like the hush that falls in a garden before dawn. Like the stillness that rests over water when the wind has gone. A silence filled with presence. a silence that comforts. In this quiet, the figure of Miriam begins to take form, not with noise, not with great trumpets or flames, but in the calm of her devotion, in the strength of her stillness. She shines not by seeking the world, but by letting light rest upon her. Let your breath slow now. Let your heart ease. Enter the gentle space of Miriam's story, where patience blooms like flowers in shaded soil. Miriam, mother of Isa, is remembered in sacred scripture. She is called pure. She is called chosen. Her story is one of trust, of surrender, of quiet strength. While kings made noise and empires shouted their names across stone, Miriam chose stillness. She listened, she waited, and in her waiting she became a vessel for light. Close your eyes and see her in the temple. The air is cool, touched by the faint glow of oil lamps. The walls rise high, their stones echoing every soft footstep. Yet Miriam moves quietly, as though wrapped in a mantle of silence. Her prayers rise not in shouts but in whispers, and heaven listens. Her devotion was not made of grand gestures. It was in the small things, in the lowering of her eyes, in the folding of her hands, in the way she gave herself to sacred stillness. Her trust was like water, steady, patient, flowing always toward its source. Angels are said to have spoken to her. They called her honored among women. They brought words of comfort, words of blessing, and she received them with humility, with quiet faith. Her soul was not restless. It was like a tree rooted deep, bending to the wind, but never breaking. Imagine a garden where Miriam once walked. The leaves are heavy with dew. Birds rest in the branches, wings tucked in sleep. The sky above is soft with pale stars. She walks with gentle steps, her heart attuned to the eternal. Each breath she takes feels like a prayer, each glance a hymn. The earth beneath her feet receives her calm, as though even the soil honors her patience. In time of trial, her devotion deepened. When she felt the weight of loneliness, she did not cry out in anger. Instead, she turned inward toward the sanctuary of trust, toward the nearness of the one she served. Even in sorrow, her stillness became her strength. The scriptures speak of her retreat. She drew away from the noise of people. She sought solitude, where silence could hold her, where divine presence could rest more closely. Picture her beneath the shade of palms, the trunk rough against the night air, the dates hanging heavy, sweet with life, the stream nearby murmuring like a voice of comfort. Here Miriam sat, alone yet not alone, surrounded by silence that was alive with blessing. In her devotion, she carried the seed of a miracle. She carried it not with pride, not with fear, but with surrender. Her patience was her cloak. Her stillness was her crown. She became a sanctuary not built of stone but of faith. When Isa was born, her arms cradled more than a child. They cradled hope. They cradled a promise to the world. But even then, she did not boast. Her voice was quiet, her steps humble. She let the light of her child shine on its own, while she remained the steady root from which it grew. Miriam's story is not one of noise. It is one of endurance, of faith that does not falter, of devotion that does not fade. Her power lay not in force, but in patience. Her greatness was not in conquest, but in surrender. Like the moon above, she reflected the light given to her. Calm. Let yourself rest in her stillness now. Breathe slowly, as if sharing in her patience. Inhale peace. Exhale worry. Her story teaches that strength does not need to be loud, that true faith rests quietly, like seeds beneath the soil, waiting for spring. Her life reminds us that the unseen moments matter most, the quiet prayers whispered in solitude, the silent trust held in the heart, the hidden faith carried through trials. These are the treasures that shine in eternity. Now picture her once more, seated in calm. The world around her may stir with noise, but she remains unmoved. Her devotion is like a flame sheltered by glass, steady against the winds. Her silence is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is the space where the divine voice is heard most clearly. The angels who spoke to her still echo in the night air. Their message was not only for her, but for all who walk the path of patience. They remind the soul that it too can be chosen, that it too can become a vessel of peace. You may feel the hush of her presence now, like soft cloth against the skin, like water smoothing stone. She is not far. Her devotion lives in every act of quiet trust, in every soul that turns inward with faith. Miriam belongs to the story of many nations, honored in many tongues. Her light is wide as the sky, gentle as the dawn. She is remembered not for what she took, but for what she gave. not for noise but for stillness, and that stillness continues to guide. The night deepens. The stars shine brighter, as though bowing to the silence. The moon hangs above, watching softly, and Miriam's devotion flows like a river beneath it all. Still, steady, enduring. Let her patience cradle you now. Let her silence teach your heart to rest. You do not need to strive. You do not need to struggle. Like her you may simply be, and in your being you are held. Rest in her stillness as the night carries on. Rest in her patience as dreams begin to form. Rest in her quiet trust, knowing that the world continues its cycle, guarded by the light above. Let us drift onward, then, in the calm of her devotion. Let her story guide you into deeper peace. Now rest, as the stars return. The night drifts softly. The air is still, touched by a gentle hush. Somewhere far away the song of water whispers, the timeless murmur of streams, wells, and springs. In this quiet chapter let us wander toward the waters of old, waters where women once stood, barefoot and calm, carrying vessels of clay or bronze. Waters that were not only for thirst, but for blessing. Waters that carried both memory and prayer. Close your eyes and imagine. The land is ancient, the soil touched by countless footsteps. A well rests at the center of a small village, its stones worn smooth by generations of hands. By day it is a gathering place. By night, when the moon is high, it becomes a place of mystery. For water is more than water. It is life, mercy, and healing. From the earliest of times, the well was seen as a womb of the earth, deep, hidden, holding life in silence. To lower a vessel into its depth was to reach into the unseen, to draw out the blessing that the ground itself had kept safe. Women were often the keepers of these waters. They came in stillness at dawn, balancing jars upon their heads, their shadows stretching long in the first light. They knew the paths to the wells, the songs sung to ease the lifting of water, and the prayers whispered with each drop that touched the lips. Some believed the well was guarded by unseen spirits, gentle presences who dwelled in the depth. To approach with respect was to invite favor. To stir the waters without reverence was to disturb their peace. Beyond the wells, there were rivers that wound like silver threads across the land. Many saw in them the body of the mother, flowing, nurturing, endless. To bathe in such rivers was to be held in her embrace. To drink was to be nourished by her kindness. In certain rites, women stepped into the rivers at dusk. They let the water flow around their ankles, their wrists, their faces. Each movement was slow, tender, unhurried. They believed the river carried away sorrow, carried away what was heavy, and returned. The spirit lightened. The sound of water lapping against stone was itself a kind of prayer. Each ripple spoke in silence. Each current carried a wordless chant. Imagine now a spring in the wilderness, clear, cold, endlessly renewing. Women came to such places when illness touched the body or weariness settled in the heart. They would sit at the edge, letting the mist rise against their cheeks. Some would lower their hands into the water, watching droplets fall like pearls back into the pool. Others would simply listen, for the song of the spring was believed to heal just as surely as the touch of the water itself. Legends tell of women who found visions in these springs. Some saw light dancing on the surface and took it as a sign of blessing. Others felt a calmness deep within, a silence that could not be spoken, only carried. The spring was mercy, flowing without end. It gave without asking, renewed without tiring. And those who left its side carried that mercy with them, like a gentle veil around the soul. Water was rarely taken without care. The vessels themselves were treated as holy. Clay pots painted with quiet patterns, bronze jars polished until they gleamed like sunlight, even woven baskets lined with wax or skin, crafted with patient hands. To carry water was to carry more than liquid. It was to carry life. It was to carry the promise of crops, the promise of health, the promise of children yet unborn. Women, moving in long lines back from wells and springs, were like rivers themselves. The jars upon their heads swayed like waves. The steady rhythm of their footsteps echoed like a chant. Each drop that spilled upon the earth was seen as a small offering, tiny libations returning to the ground what had been drawn forth. In some traditions, there was a rite held only beneath the full moon. Women would gather at the well when the night was bright, when the silver light touched every stone. They lowered their vessels slowly, letting the moon's reflection break upon the rippling surface. Each woman would take a turn, drawing up water that now held both earth and sky. They believed it was blessed by two mothers, the earth who gave the well, and the moon who shone her light upon it. The water was not drunk at once. It was carried home, set aside, and shared with care. Drops were sprinkled on the doorway for protection. Some was poured into the fields for fertility. A little was saved for the sick, mixed with herbs and gentle prayers. The rite was quiet, reverent, and slow. No loud words, no rushing. Only the sound of water being lifted, the creak of rope, the breath of women beneath the moon. To many, water was the image of the unseen. A well dark and still was like the hidden heart. No one could see its depth, but everyone trusted it was there. So too with the spirit. Silent, unseen, yet alive and flowing. When a woman drew water, it was said she was also drawing wisdom. The vessel filled not only with liquid, but with patience, with endurance, with light that could not be seen with the eyes. To look into a well was to gaze into mystery. Some whispered their hopes into its echo. Some dropped flowers into its surface, watching the petals float as offerings. The deep water received it all, holding secrets as a mother holds her children close. Beyond wells, beyond rivers, beyond springs, there was the open gift of rain. Rain was the sky's mercy falling freely upon the earth. Women would sometimes step outside when the first drops fell, lifting their hands to the heavens. They let the rain soak their hair, their clothes, their skin. Each drop was seen as a blessing, washing away dust, filling the jars of the earth. The rain was welcomed with songs, simple songs, hummed softly, passed down through generations. The rhythm was gentle like falling water itself. It soothed children, blessed fields, and made hearts glad. To drink rainwater was to taste purity. To walk in rain was to be clothed in renewal. Through all these rites, water was more than substance. It was presence. It was spirit. It was the soft thread that tied human life to the mystery of creation. The wells did not end with one drawing. The springs did not dry after one drink. The rivers did not stop their song. Water gave and gave and gave again, and so the people learned to trust its mercy, as one trusts the steady beat of the heart. Women, as keepers of these waters, were keepers of life itself. Each jar upon their shoulders carried more than weight. It carried hope. It carried the blessing of tomorrow. And so the story of sacred wells and women's water rites drifts into quiet. The stones of the well are cool once more. The moonlit river shimmers softly. The springs sing their endless lullaby. Let the mind rest upon these waters. Let the heart be carried like a leaf upon the stream. There is no hurry here, no need unmet. Only the eternal flow, the mercy of water, the gentle touch of blessing. Now rest as the night deepens. Rest as the waters return to silence. Rest as the stars keep watch above. Let us drift onward into the dream. The night deepens. A hush moves across the hills. The stars breathe softly, like silver embers glowing in the sky. In this quiet, the earth itself seems to lean in, as if listening. It is the perfect hour to remember the oracles. The women who became vessels of breath and mystery, the whispering priestesses whose voices once guided kings and seekers. The stillness of the shrine. Imagine a temple of stone high upon a mountain. The air is cool, scented with pine and smoke. A long path winds upward, worn smooth by countless feet. Inside, the air is dim. Oil lamps flicker like tiny stars against carved walls. The shadows shift, slow and steady, like the turning of time. It is here the oracle sits, in stillness, awaiting the unseen. Her breath is measured. Her hands rest upon her knees. The silence around her is heavy yet gentle, like a blanket of night. Those who enter bow low, for they believe her body is a vessel, her voice a bridge. In the heart of Greece, there was Delphi, a place where the earth itself was said to breathe. From a crack in the stone, vapors rose, soft unseen currents carrying mystery upward. The priestess, called Pythia, would sit above this breath of the earth. Her eyes half closed, her lips moving slowly. Seekers would come from far lands. Kings, travelers, farmers, mothers. They came with questions, with hopes, with fears. And in the silence, her whisper rose. The words seemed not her own, but carried from beyond. Sometimes they came like riddles, sometimes like songs. Always they carried the weight of the unseen. Her words shaped wars, journeys, marriages, dreams. Yet she herself remained still, her voice like wind moving through reeds. Far from mountains, in lands of sand and heat, another oracle waited. Her shrine stood in the desert, surrounded by shifting dunes. The wind was constant, soft grains moving like a sea of gold. Those who came traveled long days, following stars to reach her dwelling. She did not sit above vapors, but beneath the open sky. At night, the stars stretched vast above her, endless, eternal. She closed her eyes and listened. The desert itself seemed to speak through silence, carrying messages in the cool of the night air. Her voice was low, barely above a breath. Those who knelt close leaned in to hear, as though listening to the desert itself. Her words, too, were carried like seeds on the wind, sometimes planting clarity, sometimes mystery, but always leaving the seeker changed. Some oracles spoke not in open shrines, but in hidden caves, deep places where the earth was cool and echoing. To enter was to step into the womb of stone. Torches lit the way, their flames painting the walls with soft gold. There, the priestess sat, her voice magnified by the stone around her. Her whispers became many, bouncing and folding in the cave's embrace. To the listener, it was as though countless voices spoke at once. Ancestors, gods, unseen spirits. The cave itself became part of the oracle. Each drop of water from the ceiling, each sigh of wind through stone seemed to weave into the message. The seeker left not with answers alone, but with the memory of sound itself, a reminder that the world was alive with voices, if only one was quiet enough to listen. In some traditions, priestesses sat by fire instead of water, stone, or desert. The flame was the teacher, the oracle's companion. As the wood cracked and glowed, sparks rose upward like stars being born. She gazed into the flame, watching its dance. Her whisper rose in rhythm with its movement. Those who came to her brought offerings of oil or herbs. They cast them into the flame, watching smoke spiral upward. The oracle read in that smoke the hidden truths. She spoke softly, her voice carrying like warmth itself, surrounding those who listened. The fire gave light, but more than light. It gave messages hidden in movement, in shadow, in ember. It was the hearth of the unseen, the glowing heart of prophecy. Across all these places, the mountain, the desert, the cave, the flame, there was one thread: breath. The breath of the earth, the breath of the desert wind, the breath of fire, the breath of stone. The priestess gave her own breath to join them. Her whisper was not hers alone. It was the mingling of her body and the eternal currents that surrounded her. Those who listened did not hear only a woman. They heard the world speaking through her, the rustle of leaves, the call of unseen birds, the silence of the night sky. Her body was small, yet her voice was vast, for it carried echoes older than time. The oracles did not speak only to kings or warriors. They spoke also to the humble, a mother asking about her child, a farmer asking about rain, a traveler asking which road to take. Each question was received in stillness, each answer given with equal care, for the voice of the unseen did not choose only the mighty. It spoke for all, as water flows to every root, as light falls on every leaf. The oracle was not merely a woman, not merely a priestess. She was a mirror of listening. Her stillness reminded seekers that answers are born from quiet. Her whisper reminded them that truth is not always shouted, but often arrives like dawn, soft, slow, inevitable. To sit before her was to be reminded of patience. To hear her was to remember the vastness of mystery. She embodied the truth that the divine speaks not in thunder, but in breath. With time, the shrines grew silent. The mountains kept their stillness, the deserts their stars, the caves their echoes. But the oracles themselves faded into memory, yet their whispers linger. In every breath of wind through pine, in every shifting dune at dusk, in every echo within stone, in every flicker of fire in the night, the world still whispers if the ear is soft enough to hear. Now let the story drift into quiet once more. The oracles rest. The shrines are calm. The night carries their voices like gentle smoke rising toward the stars. Breathe softly. Rest in the hush of their memory. The whispers are not lost. They move still, like wind across water, like starlight across sky. Now rest as the stars return. Let us drift onward into dream. Night stretches gently across the earth. The stars rise one by one, quiet guardians of the sky. A soft wind carries the scent of earth and grass, like a lullaby whispered by the world itself. It is the hour of listening, the hour of slow breaths, the hour when stories rise like mist. Let us drift into the ancient world once more. A world where goddesses were honored with sacred creatures at their side. Each animal, gentle or fierce, carried her mystery. Each one spoke of her power without words. The first to appear is the dove. Its wings are pale, soft as drifting clouds. It moves quietly, a symbol of gentleness. When the dove descends, the air feels lighter, the heart grows calmer. In temples of the Near East, doves circled above the altars. They were seen as messengers of the goddess. Their cooing was not only sound, but a rhythm of peace, soothing like a mother's hum. The dove carried meanings of love and renewal. It was a sign of life continuing, of blessings unfolding slowly like petals in spring. Some saw the dove as the breath of the goddess herself, soft and pure. Wherever it flew, harmony followed. Imagine the hush of twilight. A flock of doves rises into the air, their wings beating gently like soft drums in the distance. The sound is not loud but steady, like the pulse of the earth. Their flight is prayer in motion. Their wings are folded blessings, opening across the sky. From gentleness, we move to strength. Out of the shadows, the lion emerges, golden mane glowing like fire, eyes deep as burning coals. The lion walked beside the goddess not as a pet, but as a protector, a mirror of her fierce power. In the lands of Phrygia, lions pulled the chariot of Cybele, the great mother. They roared at the edges of her presence, guarding her throne with wild devotion. Their sound echoed through valleys, reminding all of her strength. The lion symbolized majesty, authority, and the untamed spirit. To see a lion was to remember that the goddess was not only gentle but also fierce. She could cradle life in one hand and with the other command storms and kings. Yet even in their strength, lions were also symbols of loyalty. They stayed close, protectors of what was sacred. Their power was not destruction, but guardianship. They were strength turned toward love. Picture the hush of dawn, the horizon glowing faint gold. A lion stretches, its breath rising in mist. The earth trembles softly with its step. It does not bring fear, it brings awe. The lion is a hymn of power, a reminder that peace must also be guarded. And then, winding through earth and stone, comes the serpent. Silent, fluid, a ribbon of life and mystery. The serpent was feared by some, but in the hands of the goddess, it was sacred. In temples of Crete, priestesses lifted serpents in their arms. They were not symbols of fear, but of renewal, of cycles ever returning. The serpent shed its skin and began again. So too did life renew itself under the watch of the goddess. The serpent was tied to the womb of the earth, to hidden wisdom, to healing. Its body, curved and coiling, was a reminder of rivers, of roots, of eternity spiraling without end. Imagine standing by a spring at night. The moon shines upon the water. From the rocks, a serpent moves gently, its body glistening like liquid silver. It does not rush. It does not strike. It flows patient and eternal. Its presence reminds you that endings are not endings, but beginnings concealed. The three together. The dove, the lion, the serpent. Together they circle the goddess, each carrying a part of her mystery. The dove speaks of peace, of love, of blessings. The lion roars of power, guardianship, and courage. The serpent whispers of cycles, of renewal, of hidden wisdom, gentleness, strength, and eternity. Three strands of the same truth, three guardians of the sacred feminine. The goddess was never one thing alone. She was the cradle and the flame, the songbird and the storm, the river and the mountain. Her animals reflected her wholeness. Through them, the people remembered that life itself is made of balance, softness and strength, life and death, silence and sound, all joined in harmony. The sacred processions in ancient cities, great processions, honored these animals. Doves released into the air, filling the sky with white wings. Lions carved into stone gates, their eyes fixed on eternity. Serpents painted upon pottery, coiling across sacred vessels. The people did not see animals alone. They saw the goddess present in each form. To release a dove was to release a prayer. To walk beneath lions was to enter her strength. To drink from a vessel painted with serpents was to drink renewal. Every gesture was reminder. Every animal was symbol. The sacred moved in wings, in paws, in scales. The quiet reflection, now picture yourself in a temple courtyard. The night is cool. The torches burn low. Above you, doves rest in the rafters, their feathers glowing faintly in the firelight. At the gates, stone lions sit, strong and steady. By the fountain, a serpent coils, drinking from the water, its body gleaming. The courtyard is still yet alive. The animals do not move in haste. They simply are, symbols of what endures, what protects, what renews. In their quiet presence, you too feel a balance. Your breath becomes calm. Your heart becomes steady. You feel the gentleness of the dove, the courage of the lion, the patience of the serpent, all of them alive in you, as they were alive in her. Closing, and so the story drifts back into silence. The doves rest, their wings folded. The lions sleep, their strength at peace. The serpent curls into stillness, waiting for dawn. The goddess remains, watching through them all. Her peace, her power, her wisdom move like soft currents through the night. Now close your eyes to their memory. Breathe with the rhythm of wings. Rest with the calm of stone lions. Dream with the patience of coiling serpents. Let us drift onward into deeper rest. Now rest as the stars return. Temples glowed with oil. Lamps, each flame a symbol of the divine feminine spirit, eternal, guiding, and soft as dawn. Night settles like a gentle veil. The air is still, touched only by the quiet rustle of unseen winds. A temple rises from the silence, carved from stone smoothed by centuries. Within, rows of clay lamps flicker, their flames swaying like soft breaths of the earth. Each light glows not with fire alone, but with meaning, gentle, eternal, and filled with presence. The oil within the lamps is pressed from olives, thick and fragrant. It burns slowly, carefully, as though time itself has been slowed. The flame leans, then straightens, as though listening to the whispers of the night. Every temple of the goddess carried these flames. They were not for brightness alone. They were offerings, symbols of the spirit that guides, nurtures, and never fades. The flame was seen as the breath of the goddess, soft and alive, yet untouchable. Those who entered the temple felt its warmth on their faces, and in that warmth, they felt the closeness of the divine feminine. For fire was more than fire. It was memory, it was hope, it was soul. In Greece, the eternal flame burned for Hestia. She was the hearth, the heart, the quiet fire that held families together. Her flame never roared. It never sought to consume. It rested in stillness, glowing with the patience of a mother, with the care of a spirit that stays even when all else fades. In India, the flame was called Jyoti. A single lamp burned before the goddess in shrines. Its light was thought to be her gaze, watchful, protective, endlessly present. To see the flame was to see her. To bow before, it was to bow before the light that moves through all beings. The oil lamp was not just lit and forgotten. It was cared for, refilled, kept alive, like the devotion that does not end with nightfall. In Egypt, lamps of gold were set afloat on sacred waters. The Nile carried their glow like a necklace of stars. The goddess, seen as mother of life, was honored in these drifting flames, each one a prayer, each one a soul entrusted to the currents of eternity. The water mirrored the sky, and between them, the flames seemed to float between worlds. Not quite of the earth, not fully of the heavens. The light of the lamp was also the light within the self. Gentle, steady, and waiting to be seen. Those who prayed before the flame often closed their eyes, and in the dark of their eyelids, they still saw its glow. Not outside, but inside, a reminder that the goddess placed her flame within every heart. The flame did not divide nor diminish. One lamp could light another, and another, until the temple was filled with hundreds of small fires, each different, yet all the same. Just as the feminine spirit was believed to be many forms, many faces, but one unbroken light. In the quiet hours, when the temple was nearly empty, a priestess would walk among the lamps. She carried a small jar of oil and poured a drop into each vessel. The sound of oil meeting flame was soft like a sigh. The flames bent in gratitude, then stood tall again, unwavering. Her task was not only ritual, but tenderness. Each lamp was like a child cared for. Each flame was a reminder that life continues with gentle attention. Travelers came seeking guidance. They would sit before the glow of many lamps, watching the flames dance. In their movements they found answers. In their warmth they felt comfort. The goddess spoke not always through words, but through silence, through the light that needs no tongue to tell its truth. Some said the flame was the first thing born when the world began, a spark that spread into stars, into suns, into souls. Others believed the flame was the last thing to remain, long after stone had fallen, long after rivers had dried. The light was eternal, like the goddess herself. In dreams, the flame was a guide, a soft lantern leading the soul through shadowed paths. Those who dreamt of lamps believed they were being called to see not only the world outside, but the light within their own breath, within their own heart. The flame carried no harshness. It was not the fire of destruction. It was the fire of gentle dawn, the same glow that rises on the horizon, turning night into morning without noise, without haste. This was the way of the feminine light, soft, guiding, constant. You drift closer now to the flame. Its glow touches your closed eyes. It does not burn, it does not blind. It simply rests upon you like a hand placed with love upon your shoulder. You breathe, and in your breath the flame breathes too, slow, steady, endless. The lamps flicker in rhythm, as if singing a song only the night can hear. It is a hymn without words, a melody made of silence, woven into the air. The priestesses once believed this music was the goddess herself, speaking not in human language, but in the tender sway of firelight. Now, in this stillness, you feel the truth of that silence. The flame is not far away, not only in temples. It is in the heart, in the breath, in the soul. It glows without ceasing. It waits without demand. It offers its light without asking for return. And so, as the last lamps burn low in the temple, their flames soft as sleep, you too are drawn into their calm. Their glow becomes your glow. Their warmth becomes your warmth. And as the night deepens, the flames do not leave you. They remain, quiet and eternal, like stars placed inside your chest. Let us drift onward, carried by this gentle fire. Now, rest, as the lamps still burn and the goddess watches in silence. We close with a reflection on how these divine women remain within us through moon, water, flame, and silence, breathing softly through the soul of the world. Night has deepened now. The sky is heavy with stars, each one resting like a gentle lantern across the heavens. The air is still, soft as a held breath. In this quiet, the eternal feminine spirit begins to speak, not with words, but with the language of silence, of light, of water, of breath. The temple doors are closed. The lamps have dimmed. The fires rest in their bowls of clay. Yet something remains, something that does not flicker or fade. It is the presence that has always been here. It is the essence of the goddess, the eternal feminine spirit that moves through all things. It lingers first in the moon that has watched every birth and every farewell. It glows not with its own light, but with a borrowed one, a gentle reminder that reflection is as holy as radiance. Ancient priestesses lifted their faces to it, knowing that its phases mirrored their own cycles. The new moon, a beginning. The full moon, a fullness of spirit. The waning, a quiet letting go. Every breath, every heartbeat, was a rhythm tied to this soft, silver guide. The eternal feminine spirit also lives in the waters, in rivers that carve the earth slowly, patiently, in seas that hold the memory of creation. Water was always her gift, life flowing, cleansing, renewing. When one stood by a spring, the murmur of its trickle was like her voice, not loud, never demanding, but steady, soothing, endless. To drink was to share in her essence, To bathe was to be embraced by her care. Even now, when rain falls on rooftops or streams rush through valleys, her spirit is carried in every drop. The flame too belongs to her. It is not the wild fire that consumes, but the quiet flame that guides. A lamp in the corner of a shrine, a candle set before a window, a spark in the center of the hearth. This flame does not roar, it listens. It glows with patience. It reminds every soul of warmth, of home, of belonging. For as long as there is a light to be kindled, her spirit is present. And in silence, perhaps most of all, she dwells. In the still pause before dawn, in the hush of deserts where stars seem close enough to touch, in the quiet after prayers have been spoken, when words fade but presence remains, the silence itself is her temple, and in that silence every seeker can feel her, not as a voice but as a breath, a soft exhale that moves through the soul of the world. The eternal feminine spirit is not bound by temple walls. She is not locked in carved statues or golden shrines. She is the rhythm of the ocean. She is the glow of dawn. She is the curve of the moon, the whisper of leaves in the night wind. Wherever life breathes gently, she breathes with it. In ancient times, people called her many names: Isis, Inanna, Hestia, Lakshmi, Shakti, Demeter, Sophia. But each name was only a doorway, only a single note in her endless song. The spirit beneath the names was one, the same eternal presence that flows even now. To hear her is to listen not only with ears, but with the heart's quiet. Those who came before us felt her in their daily lives. In the grinding of grain beneath the stone, they felt her steady patience. In the weaving of cloth, they felt her careful threads binding all things together. In childbirth, in harvest, in mourning, in celebration, her spirit was the companion, the silent witness. She was the rhythm behind every rhythm. Tonight, as you rest, you too are close to her. Her breath moves in your breath. Her stillness moves in your stillness. Her flame glows in the quiet of your chest. You are never apart from her, for she is not a figure outside you. She is woven into your being, woven into the fabric of the world itself. As the stars glimmer above, know that each one is a lamp of the goddess. As the air cools around you, know that each breath carries her. As the night deepens, know that she is not far. She is here, in this silence. She is here, in this gentle unfolding of rest. And so the eternal feminine spirit continues, through moon, through water, through flame, through silence, through memory, through hope, through every quiet dream. She is unbroken. She is endless. She is here. Now rest as her light surrounds you. Now breathe as her waters soothe you. Now dream as her silence carries you deeper. The eternal feminine spirit holds you and will not let you go. Let us drift onward into her endless embrace.